Welcome into a very happy edition of the Daily Night. I am Brian Smith, your host, and I'm also the publisher at Inside the Nights on Fan Nation, powered by Sports Illustrated. Last night's action was fantastic from the bounce house. UCF comes up victorious, 20-16 over East Carolina, and this is a game that was basically in doubt until the very final moments. UCF punches it in. Mark Anthony Richards with a 1.5 to 2 yard plunge, however you want to say it. Knights go up 20-16. They hold serve on defense and go home victorious. Here's the thing I want to talk about in this episode. We're going to focus on defense. I just put up an article about Mikey Keene, Mark Anthony Richards, Trillian Coles, and of course, Johnny Richardson. His explosiveness was fantastic last night for the Knights. But this episode is more or less just about redemption. The UCF defense, I'm looking at the stats here over on my other screen. They came up when it mattered most. And that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to do 2 segments. And the first one is about timing and making the play. I got just a couple basic notes here on a notepad, and I got stats, and it's straightforward. They got it done based on the following. Let's start with this because everybody's been talking about Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. UCF had struggled to rush the passer. There's no way around it. They struggled. 4 sacks last night. That's getting it done. And there was a couple other plays. Holton Ahlers did a nice job for East Carolina of escaping, finding a way around. He had a nice scramble that UCF looked like they had him a couple of times. He's a good athlete. But overall, you had Hester had a sack on a stunt. You had Big Cat getting in there. Obviously, Josh Seliskar is a budding star at defensive end. He's an outside linebacker, defensive end, edge guy, only a sophomore, local kid from Central Florida. He is very talented, and he's getting better. He did a really nice job at the press conference last night as well. Hats off to Josh for that. They did something that I had harped on to get those sacks and overall to hold ECU down. And that is a very simple word, but it means everything to a defensive coaching staff and the players. Contain. Ahlers got outside the pocket on a few design plays where he'd take one step to the right or left, and they just throw it to the flat. It's a very good design. East Carolina's offense, I like it. However, beyond that, and they were getting 4 and 6 and all that, they didn't do very well at hitting big plays. And that's what they're known for. I'll get to Keaton Mitchell in a second. He's the stud running back who I thought would be arguably, if not definitively, the best player on the field in the bounce house. He averaged 9.6 yards a carry coming into a game. You deserve that credit. But looking at the stats here, and I'm just kind of going through and trying to figure it out. What did East Carolina do well, what they didn't? And what I'm seeing is a lot of just mid-level. And what does that mean? Well, they caught the ball, but they didn't really do much with it. For instance, Tyler Snead is just a pain in the butt. He's a really good receiver, finds the holes in the zone. He did get loose once for 33 yards. That was their biggest play from scrimmage all night long. And you'll take that against a team like East Carolina. That's shocking to me. I would have said they had 2 50-yard plays probably. One, you got to figure Mitchell, and then one to somebody else because he creates for everybody else. Snead could have been that guy. 33 yards, the second longest play, only 27. So they did a nice job. The only other thing I would say about the contain, beyond just obviously with Mitchell, they did it with a lot of different guys. And for those of you that do not know, Clea Davis went out late in the second quarter with what Gus Malzahn called knee injury during the press conference. Never a good sign, but it is what it is. He was helped off the field. And I will break that down in its importance with Cincinnati in the morning. On the Monday report, that'll be up. But for this particular moment, please note the following. UCF held their running backs in check for the most part. Harris actually had the better game, which is ironic. He's the power guy, averaged like 3 yards a carry. He got loose a couple of times for 8, 10-yard gains, and he just kind of gave them fits. They didn't look like they were going to play run as heavily when he was in the game, and they took Keaton Mitchell out. Harris did a nice job. 13 carries, 73 yards. But they didn't give the big play. Harris's long run was 16. Keaton Mitchell was 17. So finding a way to rally to the football. That is segment one in a nutshell. They just found a way to rally to the football. Let's just call it that. Coaches talk about it all the time, but they contained. And then they had guys that stepped up. A very interesting note that they did have some lineup changes. I might as well mention this. And it's talk about a game that it's very difficult to break into the lineup. UCF, Mr. Adams came into the game. He's a freshman out of Atlanta. Played corner. He's real long. Played the way he's built. I figured he would be a free safety. He's at least 6'2", and he's aggressive. If Adams can come in and consistently play like he did, they've got a chance. Now, he's not breaking on the ball and making a ton of plays, and I'm sure they told him, just don't get beat deep and, tackle well, etc. But they also got back in the lineup some, Corey Thornton, and I don't know how healthy he is, and I certainly don't know his cardiovascular level after missing some time. He went out early in the first quarter, against Louisville. Missing that much time, he's probably going to need to get his cardio back. But they are looking at a situation where now they're starting to get some better DB play, and that's going to be segment two. But everybody rallied to the football. Thank the Lord. They did a better job containing, whether it was Big Cat, with Montalvo, who, by the way, had a great fumble. I'll get into that as well. And they did a great job of finding a way to get to the football, make the running backs cut back, not take their designed path. And then Bethune, who was the defensive MVP by far, Tatum had 17 stops. That's tremendous football at any level. The 4 sacks held Mitchell to 65 yards. You had to figure he was going for $120, $130 at least. He's electric. Held him to 65 yards and no touchdown. I will take that every time. Yeah, the running backs for them didn't even score. The critical play, arguably, in the game was Montalvo getting the fumble to pop it out. That was huge. Seliscar gets the fumble recovery. They were around the 8-10 yard line, something like that. They were looking like they were going to punch it. Here we go. That is the most critical play of the game. Now, I know late in the game, Keene and everybody, the offense scored 10 points in just over 5 minutes. That's tremendous. But it may not have gotten to that point. I just want to make that note. Congrats to everybody on that play for doing their job. They bottled him up. Again, contain. Mitchell has the ball popped out. That's the best job any team has done against him consistently through a game other than South Carolina when he was really bottled up. UCF's defense took a huge step forward. Before I go into segment two, something to think about. Name the last time you felt comfortable as a UCF fan with the Knights pass rush. And what I mean by comfortable is it's 3rd and 6, critical moment. You feel like there's very little doubt that UCF is going to apply pressure from one, if not 2 or more players. Think about that for just a moment. I know since I've started covering UCF this year that I really wasn't looking at it other than we better find a way through blitzing. I wondered how much they were going to blitz. UCF didn't do a very good job in a lot of the other games with that, and they got burned on 3rd downs. And early in the game, Holton Aylor's a good quarterback now. He hit some plays, but they found a way to rally again, even in the secondary. If they get a 1st down, that's one thing. Don't give them the touchdown. And they didn't. Biggest play, once again, 33 yards. In a game with a quarterback that's experienced, he's had 30 starts, with the receivers that are very good and understand their route concepts and understand where to sit down in the zone. It was well done. The other part about that is they did it with guys moving in and out of the lineup. I don't even know how to define that, because when I first saw Adams come out into the game, I'm like, oh, we got a true freshman out here starting. I mean, I know what I would do, and they did. East Carolina, boom. We're going after the freshman. Heck yeah, man. That's what I would do as well. And probably just about every offense coordinator with half wit to walk up stairs and get to the booth looking down and say, well, who's that guy? He's not who we thought was going to be on the depth chart. Let's go get him. So anyway, they went after him. He did pretty good. pass rush gets going. Bethune and the linebackers, I mean, not shocking. Bryson Armstrong did a nice job as well last night. He had 5 tackles too. They did a good job. And then the other thing is they just kind of rotated guys in and out. There was more depth. Keenan Hester had a sack, rotating guys in, and it's just so important. Hancock had some plays early in the game, even the first drive, the defensive tackle. When your depth expands, and it's going to have to, here in a second, I'll explain that. When your depth expands, you have more juice in the fourth quarter. UCF kicks the field goal, down 16-10, and Gus talked about this at the press conference after the game. The reason he thought, let's not go for it, let's just get the 3, our defense playing good, man. He was right. Gus Malzahn was absolutely correct. They get the football back very quickly. East Carolina fails to do much with it. They get the ball. They go 66 yards. They punch it, 20 seconds to go. Knights come home with the victory. Now, depth matters, but there is something else. Ricky Barber got into his uniform before the game. He's the defensive tackle that's been out since Louisville. He did not end up playing, however. I'm guessing he's close. He might have just been tested just for the heck of it. I don't know. But he's got to at least be close is my guess. With that being stated, he better be ready next week when they play Cincinnati. I could just tell by Gus's body language that it's, he gets to see the kids up close because he's on the field, obviously, being the head coach. When Kalia came off the field, he was down for a while. Didn't look real good, brother. Didn't look real good. You can't be without him, and you really can't be without him. If him and Ricky don't play, there's no way they're beating Cincinnati. I'm going to go ahead and say that. It's not happening. Cincinnati's offense is pretty pedestrian, but they play to their defense, meaning they don't have to take a lot of chances. They're consistent, and they make clutch plays. That's how they win, and it works. But if you're giving them 5-6 yards of carry, you got a chance to get smashed. You cannot be down your top 2 D tackles against Cincinnati. Can't do it. I'm going to talk about more of the depth chart issues and things like that with the injuries and stuff. UCF's just flat out snake bitten. There's no way around that. But it is what it is. And Gus Malzahn probably said 3-4 times at the press conference after the game, it's the next man up. It's college football, man. He was honest about it, straightforward, and he's correct. UCF is in a very, very tough spot. And even with guys like Bethune, who I think is going to play on Sundays, and Adams stepping up, Corey Thornton coming back, etc., D tackle is just a critical position in college football. And Kalia's, you can make the argument, is the best player on the football team. If he's out for any extended period of time, it changes your roster, it changes your depth chart, it changes your offensive game plan, literally. Because you have to expect not to be as good on defense. I'm going to say that again. It changes your offensive game plan. Can't lose it. If Ricky's out too, this is trouble. They're going to need to score 35 or more to win because you're going to be giving up too many plays in the middle. That's my opinion. Hope I'm wrong, and I was certainly wrong against East Carolina. I thought they were going to give up 38. They gave up 16. That's just how it's got to be. They got to find a way. One last thing before I get out of here. In the second half, the interception, that play was just rare. Jeremiah Jean-Baptiste goes into his drop, he fans out. He got so much depth due to his athleticism, despite being 230, 235, whatever he is. That's one of the best linebacker plays that I've seen this year. And, I circle certain things and notes when I come into these podcasts, and I didn't even have to put that one down. It's just ingrained. I'm like, holy cow. I mean, just tremendous football play. That's the type of athleticism UCF has at linebacker. It's going to be hindered some depending on the defensive tackle depth chart, not just having top end talent, but that means other guys got to play more, etc. Cam Good, etc. He played good last night too. They just have to make those kinds of plays. There was a play earlier in the game, Tatum Bethune. It was closer to the line. It was a harder play. He got his hands on a pass that came over. He should have picked it. Have to make those plays, especially against Cincinnati. Game-changing plays. Cannot miss. If you're going to be competitive with them into the second half and have a chance to win like they did against East Carolina, game-changing plays. If not, you're not beating the Bearcats. Remember, it's up there too. It's going to be a cold night, probably. It'll be etc. and all that the next morning. It'll warm up some, but it's still not going to be what UCF's used to. It's a noon kickoff. So Friday to Saturday, we'll see. I don't know. But bottom line, UCF is in a tough situation with injury. So I'm going to wrap it up with that. A few of the other things I got coming up. Got so much going on in college football with all the upsets. For those of you who didn't know, Alabama got upset last night, so it's a pretty wild night. Recruiting, I'm going to do a couple articles later today and into Monday. I'm not sure how I'm going to break them up yet, but I saw 2 high school games on Friday and 1 on Thursday. It's a lot of fun seeing these kids in Florida, man. It is fantastic. So many good players. Saw Quan Lee. I did a write-up about him already, but there's some other kids. Creed Whitmore, his dad played at UCF. There's going to be some interesting stuff with recruiting coming out, and there's also going to be some projection stuff. We're close now. We're getting close. Okay, what are they really going to do? What are they really going to do with recruiting these last few spots? This is the only year it's ever going to be like this. I don't have any precedents. There's some projection, and that's fine. But anyway, everybody have a great day. I know that it was a lot of fun last night in the bounce house. I enjoyed covering it. UCF goes 3-2. They are now getting ready to play Cincinnati. I have a lot of coverage coming for that. Have a preview of Cincinnati on Monday. Everybody have a great day. Take care.